Well, that would violate probably some copyright law somewhere.
Hey everybody, how you doing? My eyes are so tired. I think I've been looking at my computer too long.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
a lot of stuff.
Well,
You've been gone a minute.
I have. I've been gone a good minute. I've been gone for I left on August 13th and I came back on September 12th.
Something like that.
I flew out August 13th and landed in LAX on September 12th. It's been a long time. I went to South Africa and I went to Uganda. And so it was a good trip. Yes, Natalie Papooses. It was so good, girl. And then I had some plantains with the beans and the cream. Oh, Father, honey, it was blessed. It was. So hello, Jennifer. Yes, so it was a good time. I came back very tired. But I think it was I don't know if it was I don't think it was jet lag. I was very tired.
Yeah, you've been saying that a while now.
I only been back 4 days.
No, you've been back 6 days.
Oh.
Tomorrow's day 7.
Okay, well there's that. Maybe I'm not back in my mind yet. What's been going on with you?
Reading a lot. Trying to I had to take a break from my dissertation for a couple weeks because I was getting burned down with it. I was noticing how much I was feeling like feelings of dread coming over me and just not wanting to work on it, and it just wasn't fun. And so I had to take a couple weeks off. So I'll get back into it next week when we get back from the thing.
We are going to New York tomorrow. We go to the Unshaken conference. Yes, you can check out if you are in the New York area. I know New York is a okay size state. It can take a while to get to some places, but check out unshakenconferences.com. I believe it's .com. If it's not .com, try .org.
No, it's .com. But don't try centerforbiblicalunity.org.
Yeah. So we were, I don't know what happened. I think Natalie might have been the one to let us know that centerforbiblicalunity.org is like a LDS site that
the LDS people
they bought it.
They bought our domain, the .org version of our domain, and then they redirect it to the LDS church.
Yeah. I said, my gosh.
Little sad.
It was. Hey, Amanda. Oh my gosh. Amanda and I went to Biola together, and her sister was my RD.
Oh, wow.
Yes. What's up, Amanda?
All right.
Yes. Okay. Oh, hey, Jermaine. So let's jump into this. I want to start out by talking about an article that we saw from Delano.
You want to do Delano first?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a short thing.
Yes, I want to do it. I think he shared some really good thoughts. And just can.
This is on the Journal of Free Black Thought.
Yes, I appreciate their content.
Yeah, I do too.
It's called Cat Eating and Broken Politics. Scroll down a little bit.
Yep.
In this, I'm just gonna give a summation. I'm not gonna read the whole thing unless you want to read the whole thing.
The graph is good, but go ahead and give the summation. Let me pause this and so you can give the summation.
I was gonna say, hey, Laura. I would say the summation of it is that while we are wanting to hurl stones at immigrants, at Haitian immigrants, many of the same people who hurled the stones wouldn't be able to take a stone hurled at them. And so there are a lot of there's a lot of name calling, a lot of this, these people and all of that. But what
let's back up here. You're getting like.
Do you not agree?
You're not giving any context. People don't know what you're talking
Sorry.
about.
Help me out there, friend.
You're a little out of practice.
I know.
Okay.
It's been a while.
So while you were gone,
yes,
there was kind of a flurry of what in the beginning is like hard to tell on Twitter. Like you start seeing these posts, you don't know, is this a rumor? Is this gossip? Is this real? Sometimes it takes a few days to know. But there were all these rumors brewing on Twitter of people's pets being killed, and even animals in the park, like ducks in the park and stuff, where animals were being killed in Springfield, Ohio, and it was being blamed on the fact that there's a lot of Haitians who have suddenly immigrated there, like thousands of, like almost doubling the town size. It's a lot of immigrants all at once.
See, and I was in Africa. All I heard was someone did a remix of Trump saying they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats.
So
that's it.
Then what happened is, after those were circulating on Twitter for, I don't know, maybe a week or so, then Trump mentioned it during the debate with Kamala. And he said that it was a little bit
Trump-esque.
Yeah, and how he said it. But he said, they're eating the pets. They're eating the pets. Well, and then somebody asked him, I forget it was Kamala or one of the moderators, asked him, well, where are you getting this from? He says, it's on the news. And I could see why they would make a remix of that. It was a little strange moment during the debate. But then there were all of these AI generated images of Trump rescuing dogs, and mostly cats and ducks. So there's a lot of AI generated images. So there's been a lot of conversation about, is this real? One of the moderators on the debate said, we called the city, I don't know, the controller or something, and they don't have any reports of this, and it's just rumors. But, you know, these things have legs and takes off on social media. I've seen enough on Twitter that, you know, there could be something to these reports. Like today, there was another report of somebody saying their horses were stolen and then found like a mile away, eaten. And then there's been thoughts about how Haitians, many of them have a propensity toward voodoo. Practicing voodoo is maybe part of their culture. Sometimes they try to combine it with Catholicism. So it's just been a lot of like circulating stories related to these immigrants in Ohio who are of Haitian extract. So when you came home, I said, hey, that your cousins have been in the news while you were gone.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what. The only thing I heard was this remix of they're eating the cats.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So that all makes sense. Back to Delano's post. I heard there are 20,000 immigrants in
a city of 50,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what I've read too. And it seems credible. The people are overwhelmed. The city services are overwhelmed. But there's also, and I haven't looked into this particular aspect of it, but, you know, like there's reports of these immigrants are willing to work. They're willing to do some of the jobs that have been, they've had difficulty hiring. I don't know how much truth there is to that. It seems plausible, but
I think that's part of a lot of immigrant communities anyway, is that many of them are willing to do the jobs that a lot of people wouldn't be willing to do.
And Susie's saying the same thing I've been wondering about is I wish Trump's team would have verified those things before he said it on the stage. We saw reports online, but how are we supposed to know it's true? And so it's like, I would like to see some first person journalism about it. You see these videos, but it's getting harder and harder to know what to trust in the age of AI and deep fakes. And I mean, I don't have a reason to be suspicious up front, but in this day and age, it's like, well, I want to verify things a little bit more than normal.
Yeah.
And so,
did Trump specifically mention that Haitians were doing those things?
I think it was more like immigrants.
Just immigrants in general.
Yeah. But it was specific to that
area in Springfield, Ohio. Okay. Okay.
As far as I can remember. Yeah.
So can we go back to Delano's post?
Yeah.
So you can tell me your thoughts on it, but my takeaway largely from this was that there were, from what I think what I took away from it was because of what I was seeing in my own feed, which was a lot of people hurling insults at the Haitian community, at immigrants. But many of those same people would be reluctant or irritated if some of those same comments were mentioned toward them. But then he also does talk about, like, how do we create policies? How do we create, real conversation around immigration, around border crises, around, the political aspect of things, so that things don't get out of control.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, let me just show it one more time. We could read a couple excerpts from it.
Yeah.
Springfield, Ohio presents an opportunity to have serious debates about one of the most important issues facing America today, which is immigration. And that's the tough thing, is that this whole comes up into a larger conversation about immigration, which is fairly complicated. The challenges facing the people in Springfield are one issue. How they are discussed in the media by politicians and social commentators is another. And I think that was kind of the point you were trying to make Saturday night. If people listen to like the first 2 minutes of all the things, that's kind of what you were alluding to, is like, hey, we can have this conversation about what's happening, but it doesn't seem like we're having it very graciously, or sometimes even accurately, or with fact checking.
Yeah. I think he says, right now, one question we should all be asking ourselves is this: when is stereotyping acceptable, and how common must a particular behavior be among a group for us to legitimately attribute it to an entire population? I appreciate his perspective, because when we talk about stereotyping, I think that we can be very quick to stereotype, and I'm not excluding myself. I'm just saying, I think that, you can see a group of people and be like, oh, well, that's this group, or this is my group, and attribute, some type of stereotype to that group.
And I think, to your point that you led with, is an important one, is like, if there was a flurry of posts on social media about all white people do X, all white culture is wicked, or all white people are violent with guns or something, we would be decrying that and saying, wait, that's not true. So even though maybe voodoo plays a prominent role in Haiti, it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, how many people have to be participating in this act if it can be verified. And like, do we really want to say that all the Haitians are doing this? And any more than we would want to say all white people,
or all black people,
or all black
Asians.
people. Yeah. And so that's your concern. I think that's Delano's concern, of like, if we're going to say something, we just need to make sure that it's applied equally. And so it's been an interesting little thing.
It is. Do you want to read the bottom paragraph?
I think we did.
No, I thought that was only the midway point.
It was very short. I think that was the whole thing. Yeah, that's the. Oh no, you were right. Okay. Yeah. Here, let me get rid of this. Continue.
So the point, go down.
Yeah.
How we speak about people.
Okay, go ahead.
How we speak about people, including ones we don't know, understand, or perhaps even like, matters. One reason why is because most Americans, including 95% of media where the debate about Haitian immigrants has raged, are far too sensitive to stomach name calling, e.g. savages, if it became our default mode of political communication. In other words, most people can't take what they can easily dish out. This observation is one thing that unites every identity category, individual and intersectional, in our culture. Many people have the tongue of a lion and the ears of a lamb, but you can't generalize and stigmatize when mocking outsiders and then start squealing like a stuck pig when the same standard is applied to your preferred. Is one reason we should use our words to turn up the light and turn down the heat when it comes to our most important policy debates.
That's good.
I appreciate him very, very much. He's actually going to be on All the Things in 2 weeks?
3 weeks. It's the first weekend in
October 5th.
Yeah.
October 5th.
Yeah.
He's going to be a guest on All the Things, so make sure you check that out. So there is that.
I'm just checking the comments here. Let's see. Chris Rufo investigated a post of cats on the barbecue that was posted like a year ago and found it was true. The animal being grilled was definitely not a chicken. Okay.
Shame.
I wish people would approach sensitive conversations like mature adults and stop listening to the media and running with everything they say.
But I mean, that's the devastation that's really, I think, captured our culture is that media, TikTok. Most young people find their news from TikTok and then they run with that. TikTok has become like a source of legitimate news for many people. And so I absolutely agree that, we need to be people of evidence.
So you've been to Haiti a couple of times.
I am. I'm half Haitian.
Yeah, and you've been there on a couple of short-term mission
I've
trips.
been there on a couple of
Is
short-term
it true
missions.
that they eat dogs and cats?
I personally did not experience that.
Okay.
That wasn't served to me.
Okay. When you were there?
No, I had chicken. So
okay.
I'm
just curious.
I had lobster. Like, I mean, we
Oh yeah, you told me that. They went just right out in the ocean and got the lobster.
So we sat we were near the beach and we could sit down. We weren't in a touristy area. I didn't do a lot of like touristy. I didn't do any touristy things. But there was this like little restaurant right there and we just went and had lobster. But I mean, the country is extremely poor. It is the worst poverty I have seen.
And you've been to some pretty poor places.
I have. It is by far the worst poverty I have seen. The people that I met, very humble, very sweet. I did see quite a bit of violence just in Port-au-Prince overall, from just regular people that I didn't know. But yeah, I didn't experience that. Is voodoo something that is very common in Haiti? Yes, I spoke with people about that while I was there, did research on it before I went. And so, yeah.
Okay. All right. You ready for the next thing?
Yeah.
You want to do your thing or should I do the surprise?
Oh, you're very excited about the surprise. Go ahead and do the surprise.
All right. Okay. Close your eyes for a second while I get it on the screen.
Oh gosh, I don't even know that I want to do this.
Okay. She loves surprises.
I really don't like surprises at all.
Oh. Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Here we go.
Oh, by the way, Sam Say also lives in Ohio, and he is an immigrant from Canada and from Ghana. He has a little article too on the Springfield Haitian situation, so people want to check that out. Okay, so I came across.
Okay, my eyes are closed. I'm trying not to cheat.
Oh no, it's not that one.
Okay, because I really want to cheat and just open my eyes.
Oh, don't do that. That would ruin the surprise.
Well.
Okay. So I saw this on, okay, you can open your eyes. Okay, so this was on the Today Show website. Anti-natalism. Have you heard of this?
I've heard the word. I don't know that I know exactly what it
is. I've never heard of this before, but I looked it up. It's a real thing. What is anti-natalism? Meet the folks who say no one should have kids ever.
Yeah.
Some of them are parents.
Some of y'all kids, they special.
So look at this. I'm going to make this bigger for people. So this woman, Anna Ciani, describes herself as a regular loving mom of 2 children, but she thinks she shouldn't have had them.
I probably agree with her.
Ciani enjoys cheering her 8-year-old and her 6-year-old and taking them on hikes and road trips and singing with them with the radio. Ask Ciani if she regrets her motherhood, however, and she'll say yes. I don't regret my children. I love them, she says, age 42, a logistics analyst in Guatemala. I do regret the fact that here's the key, I imposed life on them. I regret forcing them into this life in which I can't guarantee anything except I will love them forever and do my best to keep them safe. So this is like a level of consent to the next level of like, I had the child, but they didn't consent to be born.
Well, do you remember the woman who sued her parents because she didn't ask to be here?
In hindsight, I would never bring my children into the world. She identifies, I'm going to see if I can't click out of this ad. All right. She identifies with anti-natalism, a philosophy and social movement that opposes procreation on moral grounds. If you've heard of pro-natalists, people who believe everyone should have lots of kids, anti-natalists are the opposite. They argue that having children is unethical because the unborn cannot consent to life. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
This guarantees suffering on some level, injustice, heartbreak, illness, and inevitable death. Anti-natalists say that even with the best intentions, parents cannot predict how their children will fare in life. So it's irresponsible to gamble with their well-being and the welfare of others who could be harmed in their path.
Yeah, it's real. It is real.
I was like, what in the world?
So you don't remember the girl who sued her parents?
Vaguely.
She was a full-grown adult. She wasn't like in her 20s.
Yeah,
She was wholly human. Wholly with a W-H. She was full human. Not to say that children aren't, but yeah, this idea that I didn't give consent to be here, so I shouldn't be here. So it's your fault that I'm here. You need to pay for me. You need to, make sure that I'm taken care of. All of that, that's all, part of this idea and ideology. But it's future. Why?
It's okay not to bring them into the world because they can't consent, but you can abort them when they can't consent.
Yeah, I can't with future. Sometimes all the dots be connected.
All right. So, but
that's true.
What was interesting? All right, I just want to read a couple more things on this.
Okay.
They're driven by empathy for children
because it is a misplaced empathy. It isn't true empathy.
But empathy is such a powerful word right now. I mean, I can see
everyone is seen to be empaths in all of this.
And I could see people buying into this just from like, well, yeah, that sounds really
bad.
Well,
what do you think about dual income, no kid dinks?
The dinks.
Yeah. Yes, I think a part of the whole dink ideology is this: we don't want to harm kids, we're gonna have pets. But there's also a movement where people shouldn't have pets.
Yeah.
So
there'll probably be some version of these, because this is anti-natalists generally want the human race to go extinct. They want everyone to stop having babies. But it's also on a spectrum. Some people believe there's sentient life, including animals.
Yeah, see, I'm not one normally who wants to escape things, but Lord, if you can come back in the next 10 minutes, like I can give you 12. But can we get on that speedy plan, that hurry up? Because it doesn't make any sense. But this is the future. This is the social justice movement. This is climate justice. This is all of this wrapped up into one. Because how do we save our planet? We save our planet by not having humans and animals.
So I guess we're pro-natalists.
Yes.
So this is on the stophavingkids.org website. And they have a bingo card for us for pro-natalists.
Father.
Things we say.
Yeah.
Who's going to pay the taxes? Be fruitful and multiply. You're going to die. Your movement is anti-human. Mental help. Who funds you? Who will take care of you when you're old? Only selfish people don't have kids. Your ideology will die with you. These are things I guess they think that we say. We are the pro.
Well, I can make a whole direct bingo card going diagonal right there. Wow. Yeah.
But it's the website, stophavingkids.
Yeah.
.org. A better world is a world where we prioritize caring for who the earth already has.
But who the earth already has is going to die.
Eventually, we're going to run out of people.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the whole ideology to save the earth. So let me give an example of this. There used to be a show, and it just went off the air. It did its last season earlier this year. And me and my friend's kid, who's like a niece to me, we were watching this show. It was called Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth, season 1, season 2, awesome. Love this show. It was like suspenseful, and it was humorous, and it was good, clean TV. It was a show on Netflix, maybe, or HBO. I don't know. It was one of those things. You can Google Sweet Tooth. But in the third season, which it only did 3 seasons, and I think it had only planned 3 seasons. So the third season, I had planned to go and see my friend and her daughter, and the 3 of us were going to watch the third season together. Third season is all about child justice. And so making sure that everything is child-led. But then at the end of the last episode on the last season, there was this whole conversation about how the earth does not deserve humans. And so part of the storyline is about a pandemic and how a pandemic is now taking out the earth. But this one guy named Sweet Tooth could actually stop the pandemic and all of this. There's a scuffle between the good guys and the bad guys, and the good guys end up saying, actually, don't save us. Do not do what you can do to save humanity, because the earth does not deserve humans. Let all humans die. This is part of that ideology. Like, it came out in the third season that everything was really just one big critical theory.
That's crazy. I had never heard of this anti-natalism thing. And when I saw that story, I'm like, this can't be real, because it's just so self-referentially absurd.
I'll have to show you that last episode where you can hear them saying humans don't deserve to live, and just the earth doesn't deserve us. The earth doesn't deserve humans.
So this would, I like your tie-in to justice, because I hadn't thought about that.
Oh, it's all justice.
But this is all justice.
It's all critical justice.
Critical justice theory, critical the intersection of climate issues and critical justice. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, even with critical child theory, some of the literature that I'm reading talks about Sweet Tooth sound like a pimp. Why? Y'all are hot in the chat today. Go ahead. That's hilarious. Sweet Tooth. You know, he got the one gold tooth too. Some people are going to intellectualize and philosophize themselves right out of existence. You know what? I'm not going to say that. But when we think about, you know, some of the literature in child studies that no one is really talking about.
We are.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, we are. I wish there were more conversations and more people reading this literature, because I just read a book where there was the thought put forward that children aren't fully human beings. They are human becomings. And so if you are a human becoming, what does that mean for you as a 6-month-old when you don't offer any value to me, basically? You know what I mean? Like, if I had that way of thought, I'm not saying that 6-month-olds don't offer value. I think there's value in life. But if I am looking at a 6-month-old, what is the value of a 6-month-old? They poo, they cry, they eat. That's it. They're good for a snuggle here and there. But that is, they're not working. They're not offering me intellectual stimulation. No, I just had to rob them.
You just rob the snuggle.
Because babies smell good. But, you know, there's a lot to think about in relation to critical justice theory and how it intersects with all of these other theories, all of the other ideologies, queer theory, child theory, you know, all of these things. I think, and gosh, I keep saying I think, but one of the things that we talked about very early on was that if you accept critical race theory, where does critical race theory end?
It's sort of a doorway to a whole web of these critical theories.
And that's because even as the authors of critical race theory said, you know, critical race theory is an intersectional framework. And because it's an intersectional framework, it's automatically attached. So it's not necessarily, I used to think of it as a doorway. Like, if you adopt this, then you're going to be put in the hallway and you're eventually going to land here, but it's actually connected. So when I think about critical race theory, I should also be thinking about like queer theory or feminist theory or heterosexism and all of that. And we just aren't thinking that way still, you know, Vodie's book, what is the name of his book? It's Not Like Being Black. I think that might be the name of his book.
The newest one.
Yeah. He talks about the civil rights movement and how, the gay agenda got tied onto the Black agenda and all of that. But I think we need to open that idea up more and understand that all of these ideas are so interconnected. So now I want to fight for justice. I want to fight for climate justice. But in the end, fighting for climate justice means that I need to also be anti-natalist and say that people really shouldn't, reproduce. How does that align with the Christian worldview where you should be fruitful and multiply?
That was on the bingo card.
Oh, it was. I made a whole diagonal.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I would say that. I would say that. I would say that. I would say that. And I would say that. Yeah.
Who's going to pay the taxes?
Yeah. That's what I want to know. I'm asking that question now.
All right. You ready to go to the next thing?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. That was all I wanted to show you, the anti-natalist stuff, because I thought this is crazy, but I appreciate you tying it back into justice and how justice is being redefined and the critical theories. That's really good. I hadn't thought about that.
So. Alexandria Collins says, I embrace CRT and later embrace queer theory. Hey, sister. Yeah, me too. I have repented of my ways. And by the way, I am a Christian and conservative now, though. Me too.
Okay.
Monique was out there like, you know what, choir member? You know what? That's hilarious. But I was like, I got you. Okay. The last thing I think we're going to talk about today is a bit of not really my trip to Africa, but the ways in which the United Nations is really pushing the conversation of comprehensive sexuality, education, reproductive health, and all of that onto the African continent, and how America is the largest funder of the United Nations.
I call this the new colonization.
It really is the new colonization. And, because social justice theory and, critical race theory and all of that talks so much about colonization, about enforcing your ideas and your way of life onto a continent and, all of that. But look at what we're doing. So let's see. The UN is funded, 28% of the UN's funds come from the United States. In 22, we gave upwards of $16 billion, I believe, somewhere between $15 and $20 billion. I'll say that, give it a little span. $1 billion to the United Nations. But the United Nations agencies are pumping in this ideology into Africa.
Social justice, critical theory.
Yes. I didn't bring my computer over because I have all my notes. Abortion. I'm gonna get my computer.
All right.
Yes, that was my hip that just popped like that.
That was noisy.
So I took some notes because I was like, I want to make sure that we are completely understanding, like when I say that we are pumping, this stuff out into other countries and especially onto the African continent, it is because much of the African continent is so poor that they need money. Well, it's here. You can have the dollar, you can have this money, but in exchange for that, we want to teach your children. We want to be able to give life orientation classes or comprehensive sexuality, sometimes socialism, into your schools. And so one of the let me see. I want to look at some of the organizations that actually work to fund many of the countries in Africa. The United Nations Population Fund, the UNFPA, The UNFPA is primarily a United Nations agency that focuses on reproductive health and family planning and gender equality. What does gender equality mean? It is the entire idea of how to, one, what is gender? Okay, we should be talking about sex.
Yeah.
But this idea of, LGBTQ plus ideology, the World Health Organization, again, they are focused on reproductive health. And reproductive health isn't just, are you making sure that you're going to see your gynecologist? Like, that isn't reproductive health. Reproductive health includes, like, how do we make sure that you understand consent? How do we make sure that you are understanding where your clinic is so that you can get an abortion if you need? Who else? Let me see. UNESCO, the United Nations Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organization.
We give a lot of money to them.
I think I said the World Health Organization already. Maybe I didn't.
Our friend Kelly Ski, and people can go back and look on all the things. Maybe Natalie can grab it for us and put in the chat. We did a show with Kelly Ski back in January on the community schools.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is being funded by UNESCO.
Mm-hmm.
And where they're trying to turn our public schools into like a little mini social service centers.
Yeah.
But we give a lot of money to them.
And UNESCO gives a lot of money to countries like Uganda and South Africa.
And International Planned Parenthood is also in that mix. They're the ones, according to Kelly, who are largely responsible for funding comprehensive sexuality education, is that it comes through International Planned Parenthood and UNESCO.
Yes. So do you have that link that I sent?
Yep. I got it.
So, I don't think I sent you the other link. Let's scroll down to go to page 4 first. I think it might be the wrong one. This is from South Africa, from a piece of their comprehensive sexuality education. Let me send you this.
Did you this one?
Oh, we can look at this one. This is go ahead.
Right. I'm going to stop sharing and then reshare it. Sorry, this is so
so
chaotic.
This is the World Health Organization.
Okay.
And scroll down just a little bit.
So this is a page that has a title called Reproductive Health.
Mm-hmm. And this is referring to reproductive health in the Southeast Asia region.
Okay.
But their work extends not just in the Asia region. They do a majority of the same work throughout developing countries.
Well, I see at the top here, abortion care.
That's what I wanted to hit on.
Yeah.
Quality abortion care is a critical part of the universal right to health.
Universal right.
Yes.
Oh my.
Universal right to health, and essential to protect the health of women and girls everywhere. Based on the latest scientific evidence and consolidated guidelines, it brings together over 50 recommendations spanning clinical practice, health service delivery, and legal policy interventions to support quality care abortions. And so this is the WHO, this is the WHO, who is funding many different aspects. Even if it's not directly in the education sector, they're offering money to countries to be able to have access to students, to children, and to be able to push a narrative on children of what family planning look like.
Well, I think it's important to point out, like here they have first trimester pocketbook for healthcare providers, comprehensive abortion care, and then they have gender equity, all the Western buzzwords. But what's terrible about this to me is that these are cultures that don't really think of abortion as an everyday thing.
Yeah.
And so we are bringing all of these very toxic and bad ideas from the West and exporting them into these vulnerable third world countries.
And when you say the West, I want to be very clear. It is America who is funding this. Now, there are other countries that do fund the United Nations. China funds the United Nations. There are European nations, but nobody gives the money that the United States gives. We are the top funder of United Nations agencies. And that's a problem, because when we think about what is the education of, you know, people in developing nations, how are people in developing nations thinking about their medical or their health care? Abortion is on the top of the list. It's family planning. When, oh gosh, is it the United Nations Family Planning? I want to say it's association or agency. As I was reading, I believe I was reading on their website where they said their goal was to promote pregnancy, but this is how they do it. They make sure it is where every pregnancy is wanted. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah. But that's the same verbiage that we had back in the 70s when they were first starting to normalize abortion, is we want every pregnancy, every child to be a wanted child. That was the kind of, in the beginning, this is how feminists talked about it, because you got to slow roll these people. You can't get them all the way up to demonic, shout your abortion like we have now in our country.
Well, see,
you got to slow roll them.
So go back to the thing that we were looking at from South Africa. And I'm glad that you said that we have to slow roll them. No, the other one, that one. Go to page 16. So comprehensive sexuality education in South Africa has really been met with a lot of pushback. There are, is that page 16?
Says it is.
It
right
is
here.
Maybe try page 4.
14 is very different.
Listen to me. Don't start. It's too early. Yeah. So I need to pull it up on my own computer, but because comprehensive sexuality education has been met with so much pushback in South Africa, there are like warnings on some of the literature in regards to, you know, how do teachers actually do this? How do you implement comprehensive sexuality education? They will tell you straight out that it is parents and religious groups that are standing in the way of the comprehensive sexuality curriculum actually being able to take off. Yes, here it is. So it says,
hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Give me a search term. All right, we got it. There we go.
Teachers find it challenging to implement the life skills curriculum.
Is life skills like a euphemism?
Life orientation is the class that people take, or that students take, learners take, where comprehensive sexuality education is taught.
Okay.
And so teachers find it challenging to implement the life skills curriculum while facing strong opposition from parents, religious groups, and the community at large. In South Africa, it is still commonly held that sexual education belongs in the private sphere and should not be part of public education.
So they first have to retrain people. Hey, this is really belongs in the public education, much less the content they're trying to train the students with. They got to first slow roll the culture to migrate it out of the home into the public sphere.
Yes. Ugh. Yes. And it has been met with a lot of lawsuits. They are not playing. They do not want this. And even so, that's in South Africa, but in Upper Africa as well, do not want this to be pushed on their kids. But because of corrupt government, so you want to talk about injustice, because of corrupt governments, it is corrupt governments that it will accept the money and then put this in the schools anyway. And then you have a lot of people who cannot afford private education. And because they can't afford private education, this is a lot of what will come through their what's called basic education in South Africa.
Okay, I'm going to put this in the chat too. I'm going to put a link to the document.
I text you another document too that you can look at. So the document that I text you is actually a learner book from the South African Comprehensive Education Curriculum. You can go on to the South Africa, or I think it's education.gov.za, and see the scripted lesson plans. They have the educator book and they also have the learner book. She's going to put the learner book in the chat, but this is just some of what they're getting. Now, I will say that this curriculum is much more mild compared to what we have here in the States for comprehensive sexuality education. But it's like Krista's saying, you can't just give them or give that culture, all of the details, all of what's coming. They can't inundate them all at once. That really wouldn't take off. So they're offering it to them very slowly. The grade 9 book has some things that are, I will say it talks about protective measures. And because protective measures, there are also some pictures that can come along with those protective measures. I would say do not open that file around your children. Otherwise, you will be asking a lot of questions and you will be reconsidering. Should I have had? Good idea.
It's for grade 9 though.
It's for grade 9. It comes with like its own glossary and things like that. I found the definition of serial monogamy to be very interesting. We talked about this earlier. When I think of serial monogamy, I think of one man, one woman for one lifetime. Their definition of, is that Auntie Linda Davis in the chat? Oh, let me stop. I got really excited. When they talk about serial monogamy, they say the succession of short monogamous relationships. How are you defining short? Like, because these short successions relationships to me would go against the idea of monogamous. But I guess if you're only dating one person for those 3 to 5 days at a time, then you are being monogamous. But I'm being monogamous all the time with 20 different people. But it's still monogamy. Yeah. And so I think it's this booklet also that teaches or has an assignment for learners to go and check out the health clinic in their area, and then it asks a question: does this clinic, let me see if I can find it, does this clinic provide pregnancy termination services? So I mean, they can say that they're not talking about abortion. They're not talking about, it's on page 55. Just type in termination.
So these are questions.
These are questions that can be presented by the speaker, but they're all not. So if the scenario is they have a guest speaker from a health clinic, a local health clinic, come in and address the students. The students then need to go to another health clinic and find out the services that
like a field trip.
Yeah, it is, but you're going to do it on your own.
Okay, so you're like going to go interview somebody and find out about their services.
Yeah, so like, after school, me and my best friend, we're going to walk over, we're going to ask the nurse a bunch of questions, or whoever's running the front desk. We're going to ask them some questions and we'll bring it back and we'll report on it. And so
one of the questions they want students to ask is, do they provide pregnancy termination services?
But question J and K are kind of the same. Does the clinic provide emergency contraception, the morning after pill, or some kind of plan B?
But again, this is introducing ideas into a culture that are not normalized. Mm-hmm. Now they're trying to normalize this apart from traditional natural law moral code.
Yeah.
And they want to normalize it with children.
Yes. If the client is under age 16, go back.
Okay. Go keep reading.
I can't because it's on the screen.
Oh, sorry.
If the client is under age 16, does the clinic need to inform the parents? And so the answer to that would be no. There's I found some different things when I've looked into the South Africa, codes for children. Some of them are saying, in order to receive termination services, you would need to be 13 or older. I've seen some things that have said there aren't any, age consent laws regarding that for children, or, times when they would need to inform the parent. Parental consent regarding termination services would need to happen if the child was like unconscious or, you know, bleeding excessively or something like that. But yeah, this is what our tax dollars are going to fund, folks.
Now, Natalie says that this is happening in Peru. She seems to have some knowledge about Peru, that they were initially hiding it from parents. Unfortunately, some teachers shared the books, and they were being taught to pretty young kids.
So here's how I would suggest that you think about it. If you are thinking that, or if you consider a developing countries need money to develop. They are largely funded through United Nations agencies. If there is a country that's receiving funding from a United Nations agency, this curriculum is also more likely than not, being funneled into their students. So when you think about South American developing nations, African developing nations, East Asian developing nations, like those are going to be the countries and nations that this curriculum is going to target the hardest.
Again, colonialism.
It is.
It's colonization.
It is.
We're just exporting more bad ideas into these countries. Natalie says that is true, but the funding is coming in explicitly for the curriculum.
Yes, it is. It is. But they're receiving it. It's kind of like a tit for tat, like an exchange. Like, we're going to give you this money. And it flies under the banner of infrastructure and development, education, so no one's going to come in and hand you a check that says this is so that you can indoctrinate your child into LGBTQ plus ideology. No, they're going to say, here's a check. We're going to, help you with the educational system of your young people between ages, 4 and 20. And in that, they'll be able to learn about body positivity. They'll be able to learn about reproductive health. They'll be able to learn about equity and inclusion and all of that. Yeah.
All the pretty words.
All the pretty words. All the pretty words.
Okay, well, we got 1 minute left. I do want to let people know that our book club on the Walking in Unity book that we announced on Saturday night sold out in like 2 days. And so we've opened up a few more seats yesterday, midday. So there might be a few seats left. So if you want to join our Walking in Unity book club that will be starting in October, make sure to register sooner rather than later, because once that's full, that's gonna be it. So we want to let people. We don't want to have so many people that people can't really meaningfully participate.
Yeah.
We want to be able to have real discussion.
Yes, yes. Linda Davis says, yes, it is. Oh my gosh, I miss you guys. We need to have a call or something, because I miss you guys. I'm not saying we have to have a call simply because I miss you guys, but if you want to, I'm open for it.
So go register for the Walking in Unity book club. And I do want to let everybody know, remind you that if you haven't yet listened to the full discussion from last week about Monique's trip to Africa, make sure to catch that replay of all the things you can find out about what she was doing in Africa for a month. And we also have some thoughts that we share at the end on the new Matt Walsh film, Am I Racist?
Yeah.
So that's it.
Elisa is also doing one. She is. And we're going to be guests in there too. I'm so excited. So excited.
For our book club, you're going to see some exclusive content. And so,
yes,
it's going to be special.
Yes. Oh, Elisa's going to be special too. No shade.
I know.
Yes.
I'm just so different.
Excited. Yes. We love Elisa, the auntie. She wrote the foreword.
And she's hosting our launch party.
Yes, we have a launch party. Did you guys even know? We haven't done any advertising.
I haven't announced it yet.
So it's just between us. We are going to do a launch party on October 14th.
The day before the book drops.
Yes. And Auntie Elisa is going to... will bang my glasses if I want to. You are not the boss of me. Goodness. Auntie Elisa is going to host it, and we're super excited. We might have some guests in there. I've had a conversation with a crane lately, one of the cranes.
Oh,
I don't know if it's going to be Brian or Natasha, but somebody will be there.
Okay.
They'll send in one of their kids. I don't know. Yeah, so we are looking for it in LA. So it will be virtual. Yes.
it will be virtual. It'll
So
probably
then
be on
everybody can come.
Elisa's channel probably, and mirrored on ours. So got a lot of really exciting things coming up. We have a mini doc coming out in a couple of weeks with a short snippet of our story. And
the way Krista said, I snorted, sorry. The way Krista said Monique was in Africa for a month. It's real. It was real.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that comment.
You had some energy around it. That's all I'm gonna say. It's okay. I'm back.
Why? Because it was quiet.
Back?
Quiet around here.
Back again.
Is that a song?
Monique's back.
What is that?
It's a song.
Oh,
I'll let you listen. No, I won't let you listen to that.
I have no idea what that is.
No, I will not let you listen to that song. Not even a little bit. I'm gonna keep her right, people. I'm trying to get right.
Is it a bad song?
It is. It's not a bad song, but I mean, I need to think about it. I need to, if I re-listen to it, maybe I would have different thoughts.
I don't know anything about pop culture.
It's okay. It is.
If it doesn't have to do with hillbillies, then I don't know anything about it. All right. That's it. We done. We out. We're flying to New York tomorrow. So
pray for us.
Pray for us. Yes. We'll see you, God willing, next week.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye. It's a song.